last name?
Our next guest speaker is Marissa Miller-Wolfson, who is the writer, director, and editor of tonight's film, Veducated.
Woo! Woo!
She is a full-time food activist. I love how she's a food activist. And not long ago, Marissa went vegan. She teamed up with her vegan mentor, Mary Max, and started the nonprofit organization Kind Green Planet. She has organized roughly 70 grassroots workshops and screenings of award-winning documentaries about healthy, humane, eco-friendly eating all across North America. And I really love this next sentence, is that she and her team recently took Veducated on a 12-city Let's Get America Veducated tour. Love that title. And they collected an award for the best educational film at the Columbus International Film Festival. So please welcome Marissa Miller-Wolfson. Our next guest is Mary Max, the executive producer of Veducated. She is the founder of Kind Green Planet. Through grassroots film screenings and workshops, activism and lifestyle coaching, and community programs, Kind Green Planet empowers people to make personal choices that align with values of justice, peace, respect for the earth, and compassion for all living beings. Mary began her activism collaborating with Farm Sanctuary on the No Veal campaign in New York City, and she is currently working to implement a New York State resolution that allows plant-based meals in all New York State schools. Please welcome Ms. Mary Max. Our next guest is one of Columbia's own. Marianne Sullivan is a lawyer and adjunct professor of animal law at Brooklyn, Cardozo, and Columbia Law Schools, as well as the program director of OurHenHouse.org, which is a multimedia online resource for everyone interested in animal advocacy. She has served as chair of the New York City Bar Association's and American Bar Association's Animal Law Committee, and has written a number of articles on animal law with a focus on farmed animals. Please welcome Ms. Marianne Sullivan. Our next guest is a long time, his organization is a very long time friend, NGO friend of the Artemis Film Festival. Patrick Kwan is the New York State Director for the Humane Society of the United States, the largest and most effective animal protection organization in the USA. Patrick spearheads the organization's animal protection policy and campaigns, and in 2011 he led the HSUS successful efforts to raise penalties for animal fighting, the first major upgrade, if you can believe this, the first major upgrade to New York State's animal fighting laws in 30 years. He also created the I Love New York City Pets Month, and it's grown to be one of the biggest annual promotions for pet adoptions. Again, a longtime friend of our organization, the HSUS. Please welcome Patrick Kwan. Yes. And by the way, Patrick, I don't know if you know this, but the HSUS is probably, I think it's the very first organization we honored back in 2004. So we have a really long partnership with the HSUS and with the next organization that we're going to mention. And it's just wonderful to see you coming out and being part of this community at so many events. So thank you.
Thank you. And I used to work for Animal International, which is also...
And that's where we met before, I know. So all us activists, we're in one organization or the other. So that's fantastic. And please welcome our very final guest of tonight's evening. Her name is Amanda Shink, and she is the media writer for PETA. She's a media writer for PETA. And PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, is the largest animal rights organization in the world. Amanda has helped to secure media coverage of PETA's many high-profile campaigns, having worked with several of the group's celebrity supporters, and has presented the organization on CNN, Inside Edition, and CBS throughout the USA and Canada. And also, PETA is a long-time friend of the Artemis Film Festival. Amanda Shink, we're so happy to have you here tonight.
Yeah. I mean, I think
And before we get started, I actually do want to announce that we have two of the subjects from tonight's film, Veducated, who are here in the audience. Can the following people please stand? Ellen Mausner and Tesla Kanesky. She's still vegan.
And my daughter.
Her daughter is vegan.
Yay!
And do we have a third question from the audience tonight? Yes, sir. If you can please rise.
I try to practice ahimsa for nonviolence to the extent I'm capable. I believe that there is a connection between all forms of cultural violence, from child abuse to domestic violence,
Absolutely.
warfare, capital punishment. There are many ways to make the connection. Factory farming is part of the spectrum. I'm asking anybody up here with the power of your institutions, what can you do to help the general public understand those connections for a broader cultural critique of the role of violence in our society?
Wonderful question. Can we start with Amanda? Just Amanda and Patrick for that question and move our way over here.
Sure. Actually, one of our big campaigns is reminding people that violence applies in many different scenarios. So, for example, when you find out about a person abusing an animal, a dog or a cat, leading researchers and scientists have said that those people are generally repeat offenders and they commit violence against animals and against human beings. And it's a big cause for concern. That's why everybody, even non-animal activists, should be concerned when there is animal abuse, because it does it indicates a lack of empathy. And sorry, that's something else we say about dissection in schools, is that when you teach a kid that it's okay to cut into an animal, then all of a sudden it's sort of like, well, what other things is it okay to do? It really kind of blurs your morals a bit. So it is really important to keep this sort of broad goal of violence in mind.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you brought up the concept of ahimsa. I actually was brought up as a Buddhist, and one of my favorite lines from the Dedication of Merit, which is one of the famous Buddhist texts, is let all the sufferings of the world come to an end in me. And I think it's an extremely powerful dedication of merit, and just talking about the interconnections with the different violence that go on in the world. And just like Amanda say, issue after issue that we talk about, especially in factory farming, that you look at it at different lens. You can look at it from the animal lens, and you can see the suffering that goes through, the extreme cruelty that goes through. And you can also look at the human rights angle on it. Human Rights Watch, for example, did an incredible report back in 1995, I believe, that really illustrated the abuses that some of these workers go through, and they become part of this machine, so to say. And you also see the different lens of the environment. You see the runoffs, you see all the different pesticides that are being used, the antibiotics, and everything that's going on. Just like the case that I talked about earlier about the downed animal who were being dragged in forklift to slaughter. The animals who tend to be too sick or injured to get up, what they may also have is that they actually have higher risk of mad cow disease. Do you really want to eat an animal who's too sick or injured to get up to go to slaughter? And when they find out where this meat was going, it was going to schools, to kids who cannot afford to buy meat themselves. It was going to the National School Lunch Program. It was going to the poor. It was going to all that. And you see all these connections time and time again. And I think it's, we always say at the Humane Society of the United States that, we're working to build a more humane society. We work for the protection of all animals, and it's about building a more humane society, and that extends to everything and everyone.
A humane society that is interdependent. Now, on that note, unfortunately, we do have to bring our wonderful panel to a close. We do have another screening of the film Zeitgeist moving forward. So we have about 300-400 people out there waiting to get in for the next film screening.